Hello, Dercon4 here. Part 2 of the auto smart aiming turret thingy. Originally, I'd already recorded this all in one go, but I am going to redo it owing to the part that I have since made some updates to the interact and possession system. Part 2 was originally just going to be the interact and possession system being plugged in, but now it's going to be a much shorter video of the interact and possession system being plugged in, because I am making some updates to the interact and possession system. These updates should hopefully be live around Monday or sometime soon. They're not live on the marketplace as of right when this video will probably be being uploaded, but within a day or two afterwards it should be. The main change is, for the most part, you can still do everything like you previously have done, except there are a couple new options. First of all, on the third-person character that we're using here, go to the Interact BP. You'll find this option. Send lookout request directly to lookout info component. This added option effectively means that where you used to go in under class settings and you'd add the interface, and then you go and click on that function and make the connection between the lookout info component in an actor and the message for interacting, you don't have to do that. Pretty much it means that this will, on its own, just send stuff when it comes to, if it'll just look for the actor that you're poking at, you're trying to interact with, and it'll just say, hey, does this actor have a lookout component? If so, it will directly send stuff to that. So you'll want to enable this if you don't have anything else that would need to get access to those messages being sent between them. So if you're only using my components, then enable this option. If you need access to that for something else, then leave it disabled so that you can still access and modify or share that information with other things as may be needed. Then, moving on to our turret demo, let's start off by getting the possession system and the lookout info system. The possession system, right off the bat, new options. This a bit. Sole interact method on actor. This is a similar type of thing, except it means that if you ever interact with this object, interact requests will, at least if made by the interact blueprint, they will, instead of being made to the actor itself, it will realize that there's a possession system and it's got this option enabled, so it will instead send them directly to the possession system, which effectively means that between the interact BP option being ticked there and the actor in question having a possession system, and the part that we don't have anything else, like there's no trunk to open up if you interact with the back part of it, the only interaction with this is going to be getting in and out. So we can just click this, and with this we no longer have to bother adding the blueprint interface, we no longer have to go and plug all those annoying little nodes in. If you do have other stuff, then you'll have to do it like the old method on the actors already shown, or like is already listed in the tutorials and stuff on the documentation. You'll have to do it like that so that you can have access to those to plug into everything you need. But if you're only using it for straightforward stuff like this, then just the possession system, bam. You'll also need to make sure that you have the interaction type set appropriately so that it can actually check on its own. In this case, I just set the default to 3 because that's what I was using. Also, you'll notice another new option, auto disable enable lookout info elements. Since I like to have it so when someone gets into this thing, a vehicle or a possessible object, it no longer lets other people see that they can enter the object. So here we create an element. In this case we'll set it to 0 because element 0 is going to be, there is active element 0. This is what we're going to start out with. And we're just going to have the simple enter turret. Not enter, enter. And turret. So the idea is that if someone possessed this thing through the possession system, because we've got 0 here, it will automatically look at the lookout info system that's in the same actor and disable this, and when you leave it, it will enable that. So it's another little method of just making things a bit faster, which is pretty much what this update is. It's just about making it faster. As long as you're only using stuff, again, inside of this interaction and possession system package that I've got. If you want to tie these things to other stuff, you'll, in some of those parts, still need to run through the old method, which takes a bit more time, but it gives you that customization, which was the whole reason I originally had it doing that, was because I like modular things so that you can use it as is short term, but plug it into whatever you want in the future. So now you've got the option of speed if you're just doing this on my own system, but you've still got that modular option to plug it into whatever you need. It's open-ended enough for that. So, yep. Either way, so basic things that we'll need now is a volume, box, or, yeah, box collision, that'll work. 400, 400, that's too big, so 230, yeah, that's good enough, 230, and 150 probably tight, pretty big bit of well. So we shall call this the enter volume 0 to 1, then add arrow, exit point 0, 1, exit point 0, 2, so the main exiting place will be directly behind the turret, and if that fails, a bit off to the right. So possession system, we have enter volume and exit point are the defaults, so we got that set up. Interaction type, auto enable and disable, and just like that, we are good pretty much. And also on the AI turret controller, under the turret enabled option, there has been, as of a recent update, the network test mode. We would want to enable this so that it will work with replication. If you don't enable this, and you try and work it in a replicated setting, it's going to induce a lot of lag, and it also in many cases won't work. It's network test mode because it's not perfect. The AI turret controller is a pretty complex one, so I'm taking a bit more time trying to get it refined and working well, but yeah. And also, before we forget, the interact volume keyword does need to be set. In this case, we're using the enter volume, so enter volume, and we can just leave it at that. So if you look at an enter volume, then that's how you'll get the enter and other stuff. And then event graph, we'll need to make it so that we have the possession system, exit actor, possession system. So now, press E and you'll get out, and we're not going to need to do the whole is possessed check thing afterwards again for the look at, because that is all handled automatically thanks to having this 0 in the array element, which will match up to this 0 on the is active elements. So this should be more or less everything. Let's see. So yep, enter turret. And we look around, we can shoot on our own, and then we can have it auto shoot as we look around. It's auto aiming, and then I can look over here and it will still go back to something that I can do, even though auto aiming is still on, so as soon as it finds a target again, it'll go snapping on its own. And yeah, I'll just leave this here while getting out. Enter turret. But this is more or less the whole speeding stuff up. But for things like this is an example of where when you interact with this door, it's not just using the possession system or something, it's actually going into the actor itself, where you are looking at that and then opening the door through the timeline, or closing it. So stuff like this that you're doing in the actor itself, that's why you still need the old approach. You'll need to still plug in the interface into the actor itself, the interact interface, and have everything set up manually like the old method here. But if you're just doing something simple, kind of like with these little possession cubes or like this, where you don't need that, then this method speeds it up. And even for this one, the looking at thing, because right now you'll notice that this third-person character has the whole rule of third-person character. Right now that send look at request directly to look at info component is true, so it's still working on this because look at it's just grabbing what information it has from there. The interact event is, in other words, this whole interact look at section is in theory no longer needed, but if you were going to plug something else that was going to make modifications or need to read this stuff in here, then you would still want to use this. The interact notification, though, is needed so that we can still have the opens and closed doors part and all this stuff going on, which is what will make the actual main stuff happening over on the event graph, with the timeline and everything changing, and also changing the door to open and close all the responses. So this is an example of where you still need to use stuff like this, but for lots of simple things, this will heavily speed stuff up with just needing a couple of options. So, hope this has been informative, useful, and also helpful, since I can imagine this as being rather a helpful addition for some of you to hear saying, hey, this is going to speed things up when I'm using this thing, which otherwise may have been taking too long. In my opinion, it was taking too long when I was actually regularly using it, because I like it being open-ended, but I do like it being fast if I'm just using a simple thing, like all I'm doing is entering and possessing an actor. You don't always have extra things that need to be plugged in, so in those cases, this heavily speeds stuff up. Enjoy.